Hello my friends, hello my besties, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alexis and today we're going to be talking about my favorite books of 2024. First of all, please a moment of appreciation for my cup. I am going to be slurping coffee this entire video because I have to be out until past midnight tonight, which is egregious. I want to be in bed reading, but anyways, today we're going to go through the entire list of all the books I read in 2024. No, that's not right. Today we're going to talk about my most favorite books that I read in 2024. We're going to go in chronological order, January through December. I don't know how many there are. I did not try to do a cute number or anything, so we're just going to rock and roll with it, and I think that's fine. I read about 90 books this year, which is like one of my all-time highs for the past several years, which I am incredibly proud of. The very first book that was a favorite of 2024 was Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I knew the minute I finished this book that it was going to end up on this list because this book is absolutely phenomenal. If you've heard the hype about it, I need you to know that it is real. This book is sincerely worth the hype and the love it gets. And then some. I have both the new cover and the old cover, but I just felt like holding this one up since this is the edition that I read. This was my very first from Hannah Bonham Young, and this book is literally just like cozy chef's kiss. I feel like it's a warm hug of a book that just makes you feel warm on the inside. This book is accidental pregnancy, but it's accidental pregnancy done right. Our main two characters hook up on Halloween and then she accidentally gets pregnant, finds out and lets him know, and then they decide to go from there. It's very cute. It's very warm. I think everyone says this, but it's so true, so I'm gonna say it too. If you don't like accidental pregnancy or pregnancy in book, that's okay. Don't let that stop you from picking this book up. Like if that's the only reason you're not interested in this book, pretend you don't care because this is worth it and then some. It is a beautiful, beautiful romance, and it's a type of book that's gonna live rent free in my mind long past 2024. The second book on my list is Funny Story by Emily Henry. Now, I am an Emily Henry stan, so that's part of why it's included, but it's also included because this is by far my most favorite Emily Henry book that has ever happened. Ever. I read this book in public during a long hour sitting waiting for my boyfriend to get his haircut, and I cried. I was in this barbershop. I did not know these people in a town I did not live in, and I cried reading this because it just hit me so hard. It's very much like Jess and Nick from New Girl energy, where it's like he is Nick. I wouldn't necessarily say that she's Jess, but he is Nick. He's not the typical type of love interest you see in books, and I love that so much for them. This book is a funny story. That's literally the point of the synopsis. The main two characters were both going to get married or engaged to their different significant others. However, their partners ended up getting together, leaving them both alone, without a place to live. So they end up living together, little roommates, forced proximity moment, and they end up deciding to fake date to like make their exes a little bit jealous and like miss what they had. This book is full of healing and love and cuteness and coping, and there's just something about it that really just hugged my soul, and I think especially the discussions about some stuff that went on with Mr. Miles in his life just really hit me in the feels in a way that I cannot explain. The next book on my list is Unsteady by Miss Peyton Curran. I read this book when it was still an indie pub version, so watching her go from being independently published to being traditionally published to now getting her second book coming out traditionally published is just making me so freaking happy. Peyton Curran so quickly became a new favorite author of mine in 2024, and this book is something that I just recommend to everyone. It's so good. It's a very, very emotional hockey and figure skater romance between our main two characters, Rise and Sadie. I know it's probably pronounced Reese, but I say Rise because that's what I'm on. That's the team I'm on. It's Rise Sand, not Reese Sand to me. And therefore he's Rise, not Reese, even though I know it's definitely supposed to be Reese. I would definitely recommend looking at your trigger warnings for this book. It does talk about some more serious subjects that I think are really handled with a lot of class and beauty. This book is focused on our characters growing and overcoming what they've been through, not like misery. You know what I'm talking about. There's books out there that literally just exist so that you can feel awful and sad about your life. This book's not one of them. This is joyous and happy, and these main two characters really help each other in a way that is just like so beautiful. Thinking about this book makes me kind of want to cry a little bit because it made me cry so much while I read it, like the best possible way. After that is Bride by Miss Allie Hazelwood. I have read a fair share of Allie Hazelwood's books at this point, and I have liked most of them. However, there's something about Bride that really took the cake for me. The very first paranormal romance I have ever read, it's vampire and werewolf, and also like a forced proximity, marriage of convenience type thing. The character Misery is married off to the alpha of like the werewolf pack, so she has to go live in werewolf territories despite the fact that she's never really been there before in her entire life. This book was definitely an experience. I learned what nodding is. That was new for me. And I also wrote in my notes, I have to share this. So our main character's name is Misery, right? That's so edgy, and I kind of eat. Like it's a little cheesy because, you know, naming her moody vampire main character Misery, but I have to say this. Her name is Misery and she has a twin brother and his name is Owen. Imagine you pop two babies out of the womb and you're like, ah, my moody gothic vampire daughter Misery, and that's her brother. His name's Owen. I'm sorry, that will never not be funny to me. Why is it just Owen? Misery and Owen. That's all. This book was really fun, a really cute time. I think that if you aren't super into paranormal romances or haven't really read any of them before, this would be a great place to start, especially like that was my experience with it and I felt like it was really good. I really want Miss Allie Hazelwood to write more in this universe. I feel like the ending of this kind of like peeped its toe into that possibility of other main characters getting stories in the future, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed. That is something that I am manifesting in 2025 and going forward, is more books in this universe. Okay, I own this book, but I don't know where it is. I think my sister might be borrowing it, but it's The Breakup Pact by Emma Lord. This was Emma Lord's debut adult novel, and I have been an Emma Lord stan since her very first YA book, Tweet Cute. Oh my gosh, I used to eat up her young adult books so much when I was younger, and that definitely carries over to her first adult book, The Breakup Pact. This is a estranged best friends to lovers fake dating romance that takes place in like a cozy seaside town. Our main character even owns like a scone and tea shop, and it's very cutesy. I love it. Essentially the two of them, I think it's like their exes start dating, so they're like both a little like heartbroken, bitter, and then a photo of them gets taken while they're like on a run at the beach and they fall onto each other, you know, very romantic, you know, you got that angle and they're like, you know, they're about to kiss and they're falling. A photo of that gets published and everyone's like, oh, they must be dating. We're gonna go with everyone thinking we're dating because maybe it'll make our exes jealous. Something I really like about this book that I also cannot speak about a lot without getting into spoilers is the fact that like there's a bit more of a realistic depiction of actions having consequences, and that like the characters don't have everything handed to them at their feet unless they're working for it. I'm not gonna say much more than that because I feel like it is very spoilery for the plot, but that's some realistic aspect of this book that I really liked. Otherwise, I did think it was very cutesy, very fun. It was a very quick read, very like palette cleansery. I really liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars, so it's on the list. This next book I don't own a copy of, and it actually makes me very upset because I don't know why I don't own a copy of it. I love this author, right? Like I adore this author and I don't own any of her books. And that is Caitlin Hill with her latest book, Wild About You. It is a young adult novel about our main character who is going on a reality TV show outdoorsy competition thing, and she is an anxious girly. Okay, she's an anxious theater girly, extrovert, and I love her. I adore her. I really do. And then when she's on this competition show, she has to partner with this complete grumpy guy who does not want to work with her. So it's very much like enemies to lovers, grumpy sunshine, forced to work together type tropes. And it's just, it like warmed my heart in ways that I simply cannot explain. It's more of an upper YA, so like I think they were 17 to 18 years old, but it is so sweet and endearing. And it's the type of book that I just, like I stay thinking about it. I feel like every book on this list is pretty much the type of book that like I stay thinking about. If the book is on this list, it's because it's the type of story that I will randomly think about when I'm taking a shower and then just miss those characters. And this is definitely one of them. Very atmospheric, very lovely, absolute chef's kiss. If you're looking for a good, like fun, but also realistic feeling young adult novel, I would definitely check out Caitlin Hill. This is the 2nd year now she has made my favorite books of the year list. None of us are gonna be shocked to see this on my list. It's on everyone's list this year, and that's okay. It's Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is my very first book I've ever read by Abby Jimenez, and I am so glad I got it. I was actually on vacation over the summer, and everyone has been raving about this book, and I saw it at a local bookstore, and I was like, you know what, we're gonna see what the buzz is about. I haven't read anything else from this author, but I really do plan to because I've heard that her other books, especially in this series, really do live up to the magnificent beautifulness that is this book, and that makes me very excited. This book is definitely very hard to describe in few words, but essentially our male main character posts on Reddit about how he has like a dating curse. Our female main character sees that and is like, yo, I have the same dating curse. What if we date each other and break the curse together? The story is not just fluffy and like romantic. It kind of goes off course a bit because there's a lot of other deeper emotional things going on. Female main character's mom being involved and like their siblings, and it's just very, very emotionally impactful, but also so beautiful. Every time I listen to The Bolter by Taylor Swift, I think about this female main character because it's literally written for her and about her, and I will not take any criticism. This is also the first book I ever journaled about, so that holds a special place in my heart. And then the last thing I will say, the male main character does something in this book that is so cute that I just love so much. Every one of their like dates or coffee runs or encounters, he will like send her a survey and be like, was it a good time? Like, what do you want to do next? Do you want to do something outdoorsy? Do you want to go out to eat? Like, he sends her surveys for like feedback and advice on how he can plan their future dates, and it's just so cute. And it's very much like if he wanted to, he would, and this guy wants to and he will. Also not a surprise for this list is Daydream by Hannah Grace. I've been loving Hannah Grace since Icebreaker. I mean, before Icebreaker even like traditionally came out. Like I read it when it was indie pubbed. So this book has been highly anticipated for me. I took like a month to read it because I was actively moving while I read it. So I think in the future I would like to do a reread to get like more invested in the story, since I was picking it up in like bits and bursts for a very long time. It is Henry's very anticipated novel with Hallie in it too. It's adorable. So it's very much like soft girl and soft guy. They're both very just like sweethearts. She is entirely eldest daughter, pathological people pleaser energy. She runs a romance book club. Obviously he plays hockey, and I just love their dynamic together so much. He's one of the first people that sees Hallie and is like, you don't have to help everyone. Like, it's not your job as the eldest daughter in every aspect of your life to be a pathological people pleaser. It's not your job, like, to take care of everyone but yourself. You deserve more from that. And watching her grow and get over that, and watching him grow with the battle that he's fighting through this book with hockey, really just warms my heart. They work together so perfectly. It's very much like right person, right time, and that they teach each other so many important, valuable lessons that I don't think they would have figured out without the other character. It's so adorable and sweet, and if you like the other two books, Icebreaker and Wildfire, this is definitely a very worthy addition to the series. I also did recently reread Wildfire on audiobook, and I thought it was really cute because in the book they actually mentioned Hallie, and it's not something I ever picked up before in Wildfire during my first read that Hallie was mentioned back then, but rereading it and seeing like the name drop of this third character who we did not even know really until this book just made me very happy. She is such a lovely part of this universe, and I cannot wait for the next book. Every one of these books just hits so hard. A couple months ago, it was October, I was looking for something like spooky to read, and I picked this book up on a whim, another paranormal romance by an author I have never read before. Oh my gosh. This ate. Like, I was not expecting it to eat. Not because I've heard bad things, but because I haven't heard anything about it. But it's a werewolf's guide to seducing a vampire, and oh, where has this been? Very sunshine grumpy, but she's the grumpy and he's the sunshine. Our male main character, Ben, orders a succubus crystal off of eBay, like on a whim. He thinks it's funny. It's 99 cents. And he gets it and he realizes, no, like there actually is a succubus within the crystal, which is our female main character. It releases her, but she is essentially indebted to him. So she is super angry, right? Like she's like, I've been trapped for like hundreds of years and now I'm trapped by another person. This is ridiculous. And he's just like, doesn't even know what's going on. So it's very forced proximity because he is technically indebted to him and he doesn't want that at all. So they're trying to break that curse while also starting to fall in love. He's an extreme introvert. He's very shy, he's very mild-mannered, and she's very bold and loud and blunt with what she wants. So they're very different characters, but they come together beautifully. I love how he teaches her to trust again and to warm up to people after spending an entire life where she was emotionally and literally abused by the woman that was capturing her. This book talks a lot about abuse, honestly, because of her past experiences. So definitely look that up a little bit if that's something you think might be triggering to you. If not though, I really cannot stress enough how lovely this book was. The character development, the growth, the love between the two of them, and the spice didn't hurt either, okay? All I'm saying is, I didn't know that vampire bites could be so hot. This book really showed me vampire bites can be a little hot, okay? That's all I'm saying. I have been desperately anticipating this book for so long now. And that's The Winged Van by Stephanie Archer. This is the third book in her interconnected series of hockey romances, and it's by far my favorite from her. It is a best friends to lovers romance between her main two characters, Darcy and Hayden. Essentially, the two of them met back in college, but they didn't date at the time, and she ended up dating his best friend. 7 years later, she and the best friend break up, and she ends up living with Hayden while she's trying to figure out what to do after getting her heart broken. We find out pretty quickly that Darcy's ex-boyfriend was a total piece of trash who pretty emotionally abused her, and she's starting to have to figure out, like, what does life look like after that? And unlearning the awful things he said to her. Because she deserved better. Like the whole time you're reading this book, you're just like, girly pop deserved so much better. And Hayden agrees. They start doing like practice dates and coaching because she wants to learn how to be a player. She wants to learn how to have hookups and experience life without having her ex's voice in the back of her mind all the time. But she doesn't feel like she has experience with other people or friends or men because she spent most of her 20s with one singular guy. This book is adorable and perfect in every single way. It's exactly what I expected it to be, but like in the best way. In the best way. I love watching our female main character grow through everything she's been through and just like come out on the other side as a strong independent woman, and seeing this guy just like grovel and bend to her will and like help reshape and reform her in the exact ways she needs, because she just needs love, and that's what he gave her. He gave her the love and support that she so desperately needed and deserved with her ex. Adorable. It's by far my favorite in the series. You don't have to read the other books in the series to understand this one. I would maybe like recommend it though because the other two are really good, but I cannot recommend this book enough. It's also getting picked up by a publisher, so it will be like in bookstores soon, which makes me very happy because these are two characters I want to see at a Barnes & Noble. These are two characters I want to see when I'm going bookstore shopping because they're phenomenal and I just really love them. Okay, I don't have a copy of this one either because it hasn't come out yet, but it's First Time Caller by BK Borison. Anything about me, you probably know that I love BK Borison's Love Like Farm series, and I wasn't sure what the vibe was going to be with First Time Caller, but it is phenomenal. That's the vibe. The vibe is phenomenal. It comes out I think in early February of 2025, and it is the start of a new romance series set in Baltimore, Maryland. Main character Lucy is a single mom, and one night her like 11-year-old daughter calls into a radio station about love advice, and that's when we meet the male main character Aiden. The daughter is sent away, but Lucy and Aiden end up talking on the phone for like 3 hours, and the clip of them on the radio goes viral, like mega viral. So they decide to get Lucy on the show, and they end up recording like this heartstrings radio show for like months together. It's obviously a bit of like the workplace environment, but also forced proximity because the radio booth they're in is very small and they're forced to talk about romance all the time. Definitely sunshine grumpy, but they work together so well. They just work together so well. There's no other way to explain it. I loved the mixed family dynamic that Lucy has with her pretty much like baby daddy and then her kid and then her baby daddy's husband. I loved the entire family dynamic that was there, the blended family dynamic, and also the realistic depiction of what motherhood can look like. Motherhood looks different for everyone, and I thought that this was a very great depiction of what shared custody with that age kid can look like, if that makes any sense. My character is also super jaded at the beginning of the book, so watching him soften and get cuter and kinder as he hangs out more with Lucy just stole my heart. I think that people who enjoy Love Light Farms will learn to really love this new series from B.K. Borison, and there's lots of sprinkles in the first book about who the second book will be about, which makes me very excited. And then the last book on my list is Unlovely Peyton Corinne. I think this is the first author ever to have 2 books on my favorite of the year video list, but it's so deserved. Love comes out early February 2025, and it is the sequel to Unsteady. They are interconnected standalones following hockey players, and it's so good. This book is very similar to the first, where it's a hockey romance, but very emotional with very deep topics. In particular, this one follows Ro and Freddie. Freddie is a hockey player who really struggles with dyslexia, dyscalculia, and ADHD and needs a tutor. Ro is a tutor. So they end up working together on his academic studies, and that's sort of how they meet, but they also met a few years earlier too. There's a lot. These books are beautiful, but there's definitely a lot of threads connecting them all together. It's very hard to describe them in full because there's so much happening. Both of them really struggle with feeling like they're lovable because Freddie struggles with feeling like all people want from him is his body and that no one could really emotionally want him. And Ro is finally getting done being with a very, very crappy, emotional, abusive guy who pretty much put her down their entire relationship and made her feel like she was not worth any effort or loving. I would say that Tolerated by Taylor Swift has some parallels to this book. Watching the two of them overcome their past together and grow as characters was so beautiful, and their romance feels so perfect. The way they cared for each other, like I can't even tell you how many times I cried in this book because I just felt so much for the characters in a way I don't think many books do for me. And reading through all the things that they were going through is actually, I'm like almost about to cry again because like I just loved them so much. And this book will like break your heart and put it back together in the best possible way. So all in all, these are my favorite books of 2024. I don't have them all physically, but here's a bunch of them. I don't know how many there were. That's how many right there. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I try to post videos every single Monday, and since I just got a new camera, this is the first video I've ever filmed on it, I am definitely going to be motivated to be posting a lot more in the future. So if you've read any of these books, let me know. If you want to read any of them, let me know. If not, that's fine too, I guess. I mean, you do you. I mean, I don't know. Thanks for hanging out with me though, and I look forward to seeing you again soon, okay? Bye!